Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone in today's English class for the first intermediate grade. Our textbook is Super Goal 1 and this lesson will be presented by me, Mr. Mazen Al-Harbi. Today we will teach Unit 7, Where Do You Live? And we're going to learn or read a reading text. This lesson, the sign language of it will be presented by Mr. Fawaz Al-Aqil. So let's begin. Our objectives for today's lesson, we hope that at the end of this lesson, you will be able to read about famous neighborhoods around the world and also to compare neighborhoods to find some similarities between the neighborhoods you will read about and your neighborhood. Just a quick revision before we begin. You remember last time we have read a conversation, and that conversation between three men, Tom, John, and Louise. It was that John who wants to go to the breadfruit park, and Louise and John tried to help him. And we have learned a couple of the terms, a couple of important terms. Like we said, when you give direction, try to use an expressions. Try to use extra expressions just to make the other person who is asking for directions feel comfortable. For example, expressions like, you can't miss it. You can't miss it. And also another expression that we use, which is trust me, trust me. And we said that we use this expression if you are 100% sure of the place or of the directions you are giving to someone. So you would use these expressions just to make them feel comfortable and feel confident about the directions you just gave. And we also had a couple of questions about you, and we said it's very important to practice on these questions as we have learned how to answer them. For example, the first one, which is where do you live? And you remember from last two lessons, we tried to answer this question, where do you live? And we said that if you want to say that you live in a city, you would use live plus in. For example, I live in Riyadh. I live in Abha. So we would use the preposition in with the verb live. And also we said if you don't want to talk about city, but you want to talk about buildings, then you would use live with the preposition on, and you would say, I live on the second floor. Or also, if you don't want to say a city or you don't want to mention a building, you want to mention a street, it's also the same. You would use live with on, and you would say, I live on King Abdulaziz Street, for example. And for the other question, what is your neighborhood like? Describe your neighborhood. Is it friendly? Is it quiet? Is it noisy? Is it big? Is it small? So just use these terms or these words to describe your neighborhood. And the third question we have, which is, what places are there in your neighborhood? We have read so many places, and we have looked at different neighborhood maps. We see restaurants, we see malls, we see museums, parks, bookstore, pharmacy, and so on. So you can describe, you can tell us what are the famous places or let's say popular places that is in your neighborhood. So this is how can we answer those three questions that we have listened and practiced on. Now, let's move on to our lesson today, which is the reading text. So in this reading, what I would like you to do, as we do in every reading, so I would like you to look at the following pictures. I will show you now, and tell me, what do you know about the two neighborhoods in the article? So we're going to read an article that has different pictures of two neighborhoods. The first one is Brooklyn, and the second one is Coyoacan. So these two neighborhoods are very popular neighborhoods around the world, okay? Let's try, and I'll give you a hint here. Let's try to figure out where are these neighborhoods. So the first one, for example, Brooklyn. Is this name familiar to you? Where do you think the Brooklyn neighborhood is? Very good. Brooklyn neighborhood is in the United States of America. Now we have another neighborhood which we will read about shortly, which is Coyoacán. Where do you think it is? Let me help you here. It is in Mexico. So these two neighborhoods are very famous neighborhoods around the world. Now we will going to read an article about them. But before we read an article, let's have a look at these pictures. So as you can see here, here we have different pictures of these two neighborhoods. For example, the first one here, we don't know what the article will talk about exactly, but let's try to have a look at the picture and try to describe them. So here, for example, this is this place called the Blue House, and it is a house of Frida Kahlo's house. We don't know who is Frida is. Maybe the article will explain this. So this picture is called the Blue House. As you can see here, we have a house that is painted in blue, and here we have trees around them. This is very good scenery. This is very good view. Maybe Frida Kahlo is someone who is related to make things better, or something who is able to, or someone able to make things better or make them look beautiful. Here we have the Plaza Hidalgo in Coyoacán. So as we can see here, here we have a round place in a shape of a circle, and here we have stairs, and it looks like a park around it. And as we can see here, people around this place, and it seems that they are having a good time. So let's have a look at the other picture here, which is called the Brooklyn Bridge. Obviously, this is a bridge in the Brooklyn neighborhood. So here we can see a bridge, and here we can see a sea as well. So obviously this bridge is above the sea. And also here we have a Prospect Park in Brooklyn, as we have on our book. So this is a park, and here we have a river, and this may be a cottage. So it seems that this is a very good view. And here we have our heroes for today's reading, which is John and Francisco, which they will talk about these two neighborhoods. So we have know that there is we think that the article will talk about the Blue House, we'll talk about the plaza, and the bridge, and the park. How are they related to each other? We still don't know. So let's move on and try to listen to the reading and figure out what is the relation between these two people and also these places. So before we begin, I would like you to close your book. I would like you to close your book, because now we will listen, and while we listen, we're going to listen twice. The first one, or the first time, just listen only for listening. The second time, we will listen while we follow, okay? So at the beginning, we're only going to listen, so please close your books. So now we have listened to Francisco talks about Coyoacán. So let's listen to John, who is going to talk about Brooklyn neighborhood.
My name is John. I'm from Brooklyn, in Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn is a great place to live. There are so many different cultures and traditions here. Everything is near. Manhattan is only 10 minutes away by subway. And there is the famous Brooklyn Bridge. Prospect Park has playgrounds, 2 lakes, and an ice skating rink. We have a museum and a botanical garden. We also have restaurants with foods from all over the world, and the best pizzerias anywhere. I love it here.
Very well. So now we have listened to Francisco and John, who are talking about their neighborhood. So I would like you now to open your books on page 61, as we are going to listen again to the reading, but this time while we follow. Okay? So would you please open your books on page 61. So on page 61, now we're going to listen again to Francisco talking about Coyoacán neighborhood. So this time, while you listen, try to follow with the reading. So let's begin.
My name is Francisco, and I live in Coyoacán. Coyoacán is a historic neighborhood of Mexico City. It has a busy cultural life. There are theaters, art galleries, and museums. Coyoacán has beautiful squares and houses. The house of the famous Mexican painter Frida Kahlo is here. It's called the Blue House. It's now a museum. There is also the Plaza Shopping Center, an Olympic pool, a gym, and a beautiful park. There are many restaurants and eating places with foods from all over the world. You can have great Mexican food, too.
Very good. So this time, Francisco talks about his neighborhood, and let's try to see what Francisco has to say about his neighborhood. So he said that my neighborhood is a historic neighborhood. It means it's a very old one, a very old neighborhood. And he said it has a busy cultural life. It means that there are different cultures in that neighborhood. And also he said we have theaters, we have art galleries, and also we have a museum. So this neighborhood is all about culture, is all about art, is all about museum. And he said it also have beautiful squares and houses. And one of the houses he talked about, the house we just saw in the first or in the beginning of this lesson. He said the house of the famous Mexican painter Frida Kahlo is here, and it is called the Blue House. So this house actually belonged to a painter, a very famous painter called Frida Kahlo. And it says here, now this house today changed to be into a museum. So it's not a regular house anymore. It is a museum. People visit it and see the beautiful scenery in this house. And also, there are also Plaza Shopping Center, and they have Olympic pool in this neighborhood. They have also a gym, a park, and there are many restaurants and eating places in this neighborhood, and with foods from all over the world. So since this is this neighborhood has a busy cultural life, we can see there a different food from all around the world. And also, you can have a great Mexican food too. So this is about Francisco neighborhood. Let's now listen again to John neighborhood and try to find some similarities between his neighborhood and Francisco's neighborhood.
My name is John. I'm from Brooklyn, in Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn is a great place to live. There are so many different cultures and traditions here. Everything is near. Manhattan is only 10 minutes away by subway. And there is the famous Brooklyn Bridge. Prospect Park has playgrounds, 2 lakes, and a nice skating rink. We have a museum and a botanical garden. We also have restaurants with foods from all over the world, and the best pizzerias anywhere. I love it here.
Very good. So this is about John's neighborhood. And he said that I am from Brooklyn. And where is the Brooklyn neighborhood? He says it's in New York, United States of America. And he said we have different culture and traditions, the same, I guess, as Francisco's. And he said everything is near. Manhattan City is only 10 minutes away by the bus or by the subway, so it's not very far. It is near. And also, there is a famous Brooklyn Bridge. So John actually talks about this bridge, the famous Brooklyn Bridge. And he said that we have a Prospect Park, which is this one. This is a famous Prospect Park in Brooklyn. He said that this park has 2 lakes, okay, and it has also a skating park, and also we have a museum and botanical garden in our neighborhood, and also we can enjoy foods from all over the world. So this is the same as the Francisco neighborhood. So here are some of the similarities that we can find in both neighborhoods. So now let's try to answer a couple of questions, or just to mark the similarities that we can find between Francisco's neighborhood and John's neighborhood. So just mark the things the article says that both neighborhoods have. So not only one neighborhood, but both of them. if they both have the same similarity or the same place. So here we can put the check mark. So we're going to see a museum if they have, if both of those neighborhoods have a museum, a park, a bridge, a pizzeria, a restaurant, and a lake. Okay, so let's now go back to the text and try to find out the things that these both neighborhoods have. So here we have the text again, okay, the two texts again. So let's try to find the similarities between them, the places that they share, okay? So what do you think? What is the place that was mentioned in both texts? What do you think? Very good. Yes, so they both have a museum. They both have a museum. So John says we have a museum, and also Francisco said we have a museum, which is the blue house, which turns into a museum. Very good. So these are the first mutual things or mutual place that they both neighborhoods have. So now we'll go back here, and we are going to put the check mark on museum. We are going to put a mark on museum. Okay, let's move on. What about park? What about park? This is the second one. So let's see, John here said that they have a Prospect Park. But what about Francisco? Let's try to have a look at his text. Did he mention anything about park? Very good. He didn't mention anything about park. So his neighborhood do not have a park. Or we think that he mentioned this one, which is a beautiful park. So they both have a park. John and Francisco, they both, or their neighborhoods, both of them have parks. So now we will go back, and here also we're going to put a mark on parks. So both of these neighborhoods have parks. So what about a bridge? Let's go back to the text and see if they have a bridge. So in John, he said that we have the famous Brooklyn Bridge. But what about Francisco? Did he mention anything about bridge? Very good. He didn't mention anything about bridge. And what about pizzeria? John here said that we have the best over the pizzeria anywhere. So he has a pizzeria, John. But what about Francisco? Did he mention anything about pizzerias? Very well. He didn't mention any. What about restaurants? What about restaurants? Did they mention anything about restaurants? So here, John says that we have restaurants with food from all over the world. And also here we have, Francisco talks about that there are many restaurants and eating places. So both of them actually have restaurant. So here we will mark again the museum, the park, and restaurants. So these are the three mutual places. Let's go for the last one, a lake. A lake, so let's go back here. So John says that in Prospect Park we have lakes, 2 lakes actually. But what about Francisco? Did he mention anything about lakes? Very good. He didn't mention anything about lakes. So here are these 3 places are the mutual places of of those both neighborhoods. So now we do have an interesting exercise, which is I would like you to work with a partner and compare your neighborhood with the ones in the reading. So here we have read about the neighborhoods, okay? I would like you to compare your neighborhood with the neighborhoods we just read about. Compare them in terms of people, okay? For example, if you have multinational people, people from different places, people from different cultures, and also about cultures. So, are they all the same nationality, or you have different cultures, different people from all around the world? And also, talk or compare them in terms of places. So, we have read what places does John and Francisco have. So, what about your neighborhood? Does it have the same places as John's and Francisco? Just try to think of it and compare them while you do. Now, we have reached the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.